Hello, hello. It is Friday, so that means it's Free Coaching Friday. Welcome. I'm just pulling up my notes here. How are you? I hope you've had a great week. And I wanted to invite you to ask any questions that you may have today. If you've ever thought, I wonder what a coach would say, feel free to ask away. You can ask tough questions. You can ask easy questions. You can ask personal questions. Really, nothing's off the table. I'm pretty much an open book. So I would love to have you just drop in, ask any questions that you want. While we wait, I always try to have something planned just to talk about. So one of the things I wanted to talk about today was how to get unstuck. You know, sometimes we just feel like, oh my gosh, how do we move past? How do we move beyond something when we just feel like we're just stuck, right? So today I have some tips for you to hopefully get you unstuck, moving in the right direction, and achieving some of those things that you want to achieve. So let's get started with that. If you're popping on, just say hi in the comments so I know that you're here. Tell me where you're watching from. If you're watching the replay, just drop in there #replay. And if you have a question, drop it in there and I will catch it and I will answer it for you. All right. So the first thing in getting unstuck is to realize so often we focus on what we don't have, right? Like, oh, if I only had more of this, or if I only had that. So oh my good golly, words are hard today. We are so focused on scarcity that we forget to focus on abundance. And one of the things I'm going to ask you to do is to start a gratitude journal. Jot down, it doesn't have to be anything fancy, anything big. Jot down 3 things a day, 5 things a day that you are grateful for. And some days they're going to be really small, and some days things are going to hit you and they're going to be bigger. And it doesn't matter what you're grateful for, right? Some days it is because I can sit with a hot cup of coffee in peace, right? And gather my thoughts. Other days it's something spectacular happens and you're just like, wow, I feel like $1,000,000. So I really want you to start focusing on that, because when we focus on what we do have, we realize that we have more than we thought. That's it. First of all, we have more than we thought. And oftentimes we have enough. But when you can focus on gratitude and the things that you're grateful for that you do have, it creates that abundance mentality, which just starts to bring in more and more and more abundance. So gratitude journal is the first thing to get unstuck. Like I said, it doesn't have to be fancy. You can jot it on a notebook. You can jot it on a Post-it note. Whatever you use, just jot it down. And I think they're fun to go back and look on too, to see, wow, this is where I was at this point in time. I think especially over this last year, right? Okay. Limitations. You experience limitations. That's another reason we get stuck, is we think, all right, I have these limitations. I can't do anything. Your mind will allow you to conceive all kinds of things and give you ways to achieve them if you let it. Now, I know some of you may be going, stop, I call BS, because I go to work, I work a full-time job, I have limitations. I can only earn X amount of money because that's what my salary is. I can only do so much because that's the time I have. I'm not saying that's not true. What I am saying is your job isn't the only way that you can have some of the things you want and to create time and financial freedom. I am saying bust out of that box that we live in and start thinking creatively. Start thinking about the things that you want to do or things that you want to accomplish and how that can happen for you and what that looks like. I think too, we don't do things because we don't know like what we want to do, and that's okay. All that takes is like some brain dumping, some journaling. Like, what gets you excited? What are things that you can conceive that you can actually do with the time that you have, with the resources that you have, whatever that looks like. Start just doing brain dumps. Start thinking about things that get excited, things you love to talk about, things you love to share, and then that'll give you some idea of directions that you can go. The other reason we stay stuck is we've lost control. How many times do you go through a week or a day or a month or a year and think, oh my God, like I'm on autopilot. Like I have no control over my life, you know, and it's not because we don't have control. It's because we're really not taking control. And sometimes it's just easier to go with the flow, to go and ride that flow and see what happens. We spin our wheels and we never gain the traction that we really want. So what helps is setting boundaries, number one. And I don't think of boundaries as shutting people or things out. I look at boundaries as things that can help me gain some control. And boundaries are what you make of them. Just because you set a boundary doesn't mean you're defined by that boundary forever. For example, I set boundaries as far as my office hours. I work several jobs, not even jobs, several careers from my home. I'm self-employed. And if I responded to everything every time something came in immediately, I would never get anything else done. So what I choose to do is set office hours. And I have set times during the day where I respond to email, where I respond to texts, and where I respond to messages, right? And so if they're time critical, yes, they're going to take priority. If something's not time critical, I will get to it by the end of the day. My whole premise is to get back to people in less than 24 hours. And so far, I've totally been able to do that. Sometimes things may slip through the cracks and I miss them, but I set those boundaries. I set boundaries with people and the time. Since I run my businesses out of my home, it's not a free-for-all. It's still my home, right? So I have to set boundaries around that. So setting boundaries is not meant to shut other people out. Not at all. We just want to create boundaries for us to feel safe, for us to have control, for us to have what we need in order to make things happen that we want to happen. All right. If you have any questions, let me know. How about you stop making plans? I know a lot of times we feel stuck because maybe we stopped dreaming. We stopped because we thought, what's the point, right? The point is that you deserve to be happy and content and fulfilled. And when we stop making plans, all of that goes away, right? We think, well, that's never going to happen and I'm never going to have those things. So why do I feel like I can have those now? And the truth of the matter is you can absolutely have those things, but you got to start dreaming again. You got to start thinking about what you want and why you want it. And the why is just so that you have a reason to get up and do it, a reason to get out of bed, a reason to pursue it. I think those are really, your why is probably one of the most important things. Your why and your purpose. Those are two things you have to know. And if you want to know how to gain more access to your why and your purpose, let me know. There's simple work that you can do around that, just a little bit of mind work to kind of get you thinking those thoughts about what your why and what your purpose is, because I know that's not always easy. Like you have an idea, but you have no idea how to make that happen. I can help you with that. I have some little tips and tricks. Another reason that we don't get unstuck is because we don't take action, right? Like if we haven't made a plan, we're certainly not going to take action because there's nothing to take action on. So you got to go ahead and set the plan, set the dream in motion, whatever that looks like. Taking action is huge. We do lots and lots and lots of busy work. Why do we do busy work? It's easy. It's comfortable. Like when you're doing busy work, you feel like you're like being productive and getting stuff done. And the truth of the matter is you're not accomplishing anything. You're just doing busy work. So one of the things that I am going to challenge you to do is start not thinking about busy work, but prioritizing actual action steps that meet your goals, that meet your needs, that meet the things that you want to happen. You've got to start. And starting's not always easy. Like sometimes that's the hardest part, is just getting started. And once you get started, you're kind of in a flow and you can go with things and you can roll with it. It makes it a ton easier. But first you have to start. So you got to take one action step and then allow that action step to lead you to the next action steps. Okay. All right. Another reason we're stuck is we keep doing the same things that we've always done. The greatest definition of insanity is to keep doing the same things and expecting different results. You guys, I wish that we could keep doing what we've been doing because it's comfortable, right? We love it. It's comfortable. It's where we feel good. But it doesn't change you, and it doesn't change results, and it doesn't make things happen. Now, with that being said, you can't go and change everything, right? Like, it'd be great if you could just flip a switch and boom, change everything and have a well-oiled machine. It doesn't happen that way. So one of the things I would challenge you is to start with one little goal. Start with one thing, one change that you want to make, and start to implement that change. And then once you're comfortable and that change is now a habit, then add another one. And when that one becomes a habit, add another one. But you have to start with one that's important to you, something that you can get behind, something that you can be excited about. You have to figure out how that works. And it's not the same for everybody, right? It's different. You know, you can say for years and years, I'm going to lose weight. I want to release weight. I want to get rid of this extra weight. Well, truth be told, if you really don't want to lose weight, if you don't want to go through those steps or what's necessary for you to lose weight, guess what? You're never, ever going to lose weight. But if your perspective changes to, wow, I want to be healthier, I want to feel better, I want to have more energy, and you're excited about that and you can see that changing, guess what? You're going to start to implement those habits because there's something that you feel connected to. It's something that's important to you. And you can start to visualize and see that. Alrighty. Sorry, I'm just checking my notes here. You blame a lack of resources. Now, I get it. There are very, very few of us that have all the resources we need to accomplish the things that we want to accomplish. It's very few people have that. And yet, lots and lots of people are experiencing the type of success that we want for ourselves, that we want for our families. They're doing it. And so the difference is they are out of the box thinkers, right? So if you have a goal or you have something you want to accomplish, but you need resources, I'm going to challenge you to just start brainstorming, brain dump, brainstorm everything you can think of about how those resources can come to you. We don't have to make it so dang hard all the time that it has to be sticking points, right? There are people out there that have resources, that want to help other people. There are people out there that know things that we don't know. You just have to start being vulnerable. You just have to start asking for help. One of the greatest things we can do is ask for help. Number one, we get the things that we need, and then we're filling a need for other people. If somebody wants to help their helper and they have the means and they want to help you, but they don't know what you need until you ask for it. And a lot of times we are too caught up in the asking, not knowing how to ask, not wanting to ask. So I'm going to challenge you to really start looking for resources, being creative, thinking creatively. This one will sting a little bit. We don't take responsibility. That's a sticking point, right? It's a little tough to swallow because responsibility is heavy. When you don't hold yourself accountable, you're actually saying you cannot be counted on. You're telling yourself you can't count on me. That doesn't feel good to anybody, right? Like we know that maybe sometimes you can't count on other people, but in the scope of all of it, we know that we need to be able to count on people. And the one person you should be able to count on all the time is you. We spend a lot of time pointing fingers at people for what they don't do for us. And while we're doing that, we have 3 fingers pointing back at ourselves. So we really need to take responsibility. We need to teach our kids to take responsibility, and we need to teach ourselves. It's okay. We're going to screw up. There's going to be times when taking responsibility is not fun, but it's the right thing to do. And it frees you. Taking responsibility frees you up from guilt and shame and all that crap that sits there and holds you back. So I challenge you to release yourself, take responsibility, and start being solution-oriented instead of blame or shame oriented, right? We're either blaming somebody or we're taking on that shame. Stop. Just take responsibility. All right. Being present. You're not necessarily present. 80% of success is showing up. 80%. So how often are you showing up for yourself and the things that you want to do? Is it 80%? My guess is maybe not if you're stuck. And we spend a lot of time complaining about what's not going on for us, but we're not showing up to make it happen. In sales, you have to touch a potential client 6 to 12 times. 6 to 12 times. That seems like an eternity. And that's one of the funny things that we get caught up in is we may make a request one time or ask a question one time of somebody, and then either they don't respond or they say, hey, I'm not interested right now, or whatever that is, and then we stop. Well, I guarantee you somebody else is going to be a lot more persistent, and they're going to end up with those sales, and they're going to end up with that success that you started, but you just didn't stick with it. And it's not comfortable reaching out to people 6 to 12 times. Absolutely not. It can be very uncomfortable, but you have to find a reason. It's not that people don't want your products or services. I don't believe that at all. I believe we're just bombarded by products and services. How many of you go and you fill a cart? You fill your Amazon cart. Amazon's not a great example because they don't email you. You fill a cart. You were going to buy something online, so you put stuff in your cart. You didn't check out. You got sidetracked, whatever. Then you get an email or two that day saying, hey, you left something behind in your cart. Then you get an email the next day. Hey, you left something behind in your cart. Then you get an email the next day. Hey, then you're offered a discount because you left something behind in your cart, right? So those are touch points. Those are saying, hey, come back. Hey, come talk to me again. I recently started taking a new product that's new to me, and I reached out to the gal December 11th of 2019. Okay. She sent me information. She asked questions. I wasn't ready. She never was overpowering by any means. She would touch base every couple of months. She'd send me specials. I mean, whatever. I reached out to her. No problem. I made my purchase on March 28th of 2021. 6 to 12 times. Right? Now, I'm not a slow purchaser either, usually. Usually I'm somebody who just jumps in. I just wasn't ready. I wasn't ready for the commitment. I wasn't sure if it was going to work. I didn't know, like I tried all these other things and then I was frustrated. So I thought, okay, maybe this will work. So you just need to be able to stick with it. You have to show up and be present enough because people also want to buy from people they know are going to be around. Like, are you going to be around in 6 months? Are you going to be around in a year? If they don't know that and they can't feel that, then they're going to be a little uncomfortable maybe purchasing from you because you have to show them that you're here for the long haul. All right. If you are watching and you have any questions for Free Coaching Friday, drop them in the comments. I could keep going forever and ever. I do have a couple others I'm probably going to talk about. But yes, if you have questions, drop them in the comments. I will be glad to answer them. Easy questions, hard questions, business questions, personal questions. Nothing is off the table. Just feel free to go ahead and ask. Hey, Katie. Hello, hello. I'm just going to keep going on about being unstuck until if there's something you want to know. We fear failure. That's another reason we get stuck. How many of us fear failure? I don't think there's many people that don't feel failure. My gosh, fear failure. It's a fact of life. It's going to happen. You're going to try something that's not going to work. Okay, it's not, I wouldn't even say it's failure. It's a learning lesson. It's a stepping stone. It's a springboard. Every time you approach something new after something didn't work, you're approaching it with so much more knowledge. Think about what it took to set something up, to walk through the steps. What did you learn? What people skills did you have to gather? What did you do that made it work for you in the moment? And then when it didn't work, how do you need to shift the next time? What little baby shifts? And often, you guys, it's a tweak. It's not huge. Dump the whole thing and start over. Make baby tweaks in your systems to overcome those failures and stop being afraid of it. It happens. It happens to all of us. And I know a lot of times we're more afraid because we think people are watching. People are watching. Yeah, they're really not watching. It'd be great if people were watching that closely to what we were all doing. They're not. Do you know why? Because they got their own stuff. And they're busy worrying and watching their own stuff. And that's one of those things that's human nature. Like, they may watch for a minute, but then it's done and over with. Think about the things that have been, big controversies, and then people talk about it for, a few days, and then boom, nobody talks about it anymore because people moved on. Something else came up. That's the way it's always going to be. I have had many, many endeavors that maybe didn't work out how I thought they would. And one in particular, I really thought, oh my gosh, I am a huge failure. I can't believe this. This is what I was supposed to do for the rest of my life. First of all, most people aren't going to figure that out at 20 years old, and that's okay. And if you do, that's amazing. But I was so stuck in that I said I was going to do this, so I'm going to do this for the rest of my life, that when it didn't serve me anymore, it hurt to stop doing that. But once I made the decision, I was so much more free, and I felt so much better about what I was doing. So don't get all caught up in that failure, because once I was done, it was done. It wasn't a failure anymore. And what I learned in that process has led me to where I am today, has led me to start a business on my own, led me to start coaching, led me to go to real estate, led me to do the things that I love to do. So allow those things to happen for you. Allow growth to happen. A lot of times we're our own worst enemy, and that's what keeps us stuck, right? I don't think most of us would allow our friends to speak so negatively to us. I'm not talking constructive criticism. That's not what I'm talking about. But we say the nastiest things to ourselves, right? We get all caught up in all the nastiness. When you walk by a mirror, what do you say to yourself? When you screw something up, what do you say? We would never allow somebody else to talk to us like that, nor would we ever say those words to another human being. It would be we just wouldn't, most of us wouldn't do it, right? So why do you do it to yourselves? Why do we stab ourselves in the back day in, day out, time and time again? You need to learn to be your own best friend and to manage the thoughts in your head so that you can have the things that you want. There's nothing more to success than right here. And I wish there was some magic pill. I wish there was some magic formula. There's not. We need to have our own back. We need to trust ourselves. We need to trust our instincts. We need to trust our gut. And I wrote about that this week, that trusting your gut. If that doesn't feel right, test your gut. I had read that this week, and somebody had said, okay, if you can't trust your gut, test it. We know rights and wrongs. We know what feels right. We know what feels wrong. And we know what's right for us. Trust yourself that you know what's right for you. Both my kids in the last 2 to 3 weeks have gotten new cars, right? And so when they were looking, there was various reasons for both of them. My daughter felt like her car had a ton of miles on it. She's getting ready to go to dental school. She was feeling nervous, okay, if the car breaks down, then what kind of stressors am I going to have? What's that going to look like? Blah, blah, blah. I'll have enough stress and tension anyway. Okay. So she went and negotiated and bought her first car by herself. My son was driving a car that all of a sudden started to have transmission problems. And he was like, I need to go and get a new car because he drives it primarily for work. He lives about 2 miles away from where he works. So he could ride his bike and walk to work if he had to, but he does a ton of driving for work. So but they both questioned themselves over and over again. You know, the big things, can they afford it? Like, did they budget? Is that something that they can do? Can they afford the insurance? You know, the maintenance, all that good stuff. The answer to all of that was yes. Well, then trust yourself and do it. It's scary, absolutely, right? But you have to trust yourself to do it. The other thing is, we're waiting for all the lights to turn green. Wouldn't that be awesome? Isn't it great when you're driving across town and all the lights are green, you catch every single light green? It's awesome. Takes less time. Easy to do, right? That's not life. Think about the times you hit every single red light and you're in your car like cursing because you're like, are you freaking kidding me? Okay, there's not always going to be green lights to tell you to go and then it's okay to go. Sometimes you got to push the limit a little bit and get out there and start so you can start hitting those green lights and paying attention to what's out there and what's available to you. Getting unstuck is more about taking action than anything else. And the first place to take action, it starts with you. It's hard sometimes to take that initial step. Absolutely. It's not easy for anybody. The first time you go work out at a new place because you've taken, 6 months, a year off, you're thinking, okay, this is going to be really hard. I'm going to look terrible. I'm going to feel like crap because I can't do it. If you're in Colorado, you're dealing with a whole lack of oxygen thing. Like, you work all this up in your head. You don't want to look like a fool in front of other people, blah, blah, blah. You start working out at home, whatever that is. But you have to make yourself do it the first time. It's not like you're going to pop out of bed and be all jolly. I guess some of you could. I prefer to work out early in the morning. My ideal time to work out would be 5 a.m. Absolutely ideal. I go at 7:30 and 8:30, and they both feel really late to me. So I still get up early and do work before I go work out because I am most productive at the beginning of the day. Once the afternoon hits, it's downhill there a little bit for me. So you have to take steps. You have to be willing to take steps. If you want to have these great transformations and you want to have the things you want financial freedom, you want time freedom, you want time with your family and friends, you want to have a career that you love, you want to try new things, you want to give to charities, you want to help other people, then you got to start somewhere and you just have to start. If you don't know how to start, then let's talk. You know, a discovery call with me is absolutely free. There's no pressure whatsoever. When I post them and I post the link, if you just click on the link and you schedule the time that works for you, I get the notification. I ask that I have 24 hours in advance so I can work with my schedule. And then we talk. We talk about what your goals are. We talk about what your dreams are. We talk about what obstacles tend to get in your way. And then I talk about how I can show you how to make changes. Now, I know sometimes we think, I don't need somebody to help me make changes. I felt the same thing. For years, I was spinning my wheels. Like, I know all the things that I need to know, right? Not all the things I need to know, but I know how to get started and I know how to begin to get to the next step. The problem is being accountable and keeping up that consistency and that accountability. That's what I think becomes difficult for us because we want to quit if we don't see results right away. We get frustrated because something happened and we don't know how to gauge that or what that looks like. So what you need is just a power partner, a coach, to stand beside you and walk you through those things. That's what I get to do. I get to show you how to do it. I get to help you be accountable to yourself, the most important person that you can be accountable to. And we get to create, you get to create the life that you want. And I get to be your cheerleader and cheer you on every step of the way. So it's a ton of fun. But schedule a call. If there's things that are just sitting back there that you're like, dang, I know I can do this. I know you can do it too. But you just have to be willing to take the steps. And sometimes you need somebody to nudge you out a little bit and force you to take those steps. And that person can absolutely be me. So I hope that you got something out of this today, that you were able to take a few tips and really think about how you can make them work for you. I would love any feedback, any comments that you have about it. And I hope that you have a great weekend. I will be back here next Friday. And we will be doing the same thing. talking about something else, but I look forward to seeing you then. I hope that you have, like I said, a fabulous weekend, and we will talk next week. Bye-bye.